Dory 1, this is Fire Team Delta. Dad's coming home.
Welcome to the Military Veteran Dad Podcast, where it is our mission to bring every dad home. I am your host, Ben Killoy. I'm a United States Marine veteran, husband, and a father. We will bring authentic conversations to inspire action in your life so we can close the gap between the dad you are today and the dad you want to be tomorrow. This is the Military Veteran Dad Podcast. Welcome back to another Fatherhood Friday. Can you believe it? It is one day away from the 4th of July. It seems like this has been the most insane 2020 right up to the 4th of July in the history of my life. It probably has been. But man, it feels good. I had hoped that Corona had kind of gone away. I remember when it first started hitting, I was thinking how cool it would be. Like this would be a celebration of freedom, that we had kind of defeated Corona. We were on the other side, but it does not appear that that is going to happen. But today, I want to share a story that I wrote on my website about a year ago. It's about maybe a 2-year-old story, but I've been repeating it, and I want to continue to relive it on the 4th of July. And it's called Why I Cry on the 4th of July. It's been about 13 years since I left the Marine Corps. And being in small town area of Wisconsin, I always go to a small 4th of July parade in Sharon, Wisconsin, which is middle of nowhere. There is no good reason to go through Sharon, Wisconsin, unless you know it exists and you have a good reason to go there. But growing up, this was always a place where we went for the 4th of July. And every time I go to that parade, I always cry when the flags go by. Every time when all the fire trucks are going, the whole experience, the flags, the salute to the military, I almost always get teary. And as I went through this journey, I had to really reflect on going back to and remembering like when it was the first time I cried on the 4th of July. And it really began in the summer of 2006. And that summer of 2006 was the first one that I came home from Okinawa. Still in the Marine Corps. That was the first one I came home. And I was home and we went to the parade. And being still serving in the military, observing everybody else embrace the 4th of July and everything that it is about the American spirit, there was something about that moment that was overwhelming. As the flags went by, as the fire trucks went by, as the firefighters were kind of honoring their sacrifice that they do to be out there, I'm honoring my sacrifice. They're honoring theirs as well by saluting the flags coming by. But there was something that hit me as I really dug deeper on that. And it was an odd reflection because it wasn't something that I had ever done before. But I remember thinking back that most Americans will never know or begin to understand what the cost of freedom really is. On the 4th of July, we celebrate it, we embrace family, we talk about different things, but let's be real, most people don't dig into the true cost of freedom. Many veterans know what that cost is, especially if we've lost a friend or a loved one in relation to that service. But if you don't really know the true cost of freedom. And as I looked around at the people watching and thinking about my fellow Marines serving in the war at the time still in Iraq and Afghanistan, just stationed away from my family for 3 years almost at this point. And we celebrated this holiday in the United States like it was 1776 all over again, and that the Declaration was just signed. But to me, it really felt more about that. It really felt about the sacrifice that was taking place between 1776 and now. And ever since that parade in 2006, I cry every year in the same moment when the veterans begin to carry the flags and the fire trucks compound the emotion of their sacrifice to serve and protect. I reflect and remember that beginning as I remember the sacrifice taking place to be free. That moment is kind of a cemented feeling for me that I step into every 4th of July. I think back to my travels to the Philippines and appreciating the freedom and opportunity we all get to enjoy in our country. This perspective is what's missing on this holiday. We far often to reflect inward on why freedom is essential to our country. But I always find myself thinking about how important freedom is to the world. And I begin to reflect now on the 4th of July that is not a celebration for our independence, but for what it really is. It really was the turning point when brave few men said, no more. No more will men and women be controlled by governments, monarchs, or tyranny. Freedom is now prevalent throughout the world, but this day represents when the momentum shifted. And so I cry on the 4th of July because of the overwhelming joy and appreciation for what I have as a veteran, a husband, and a dad to shape the world around me. I cry because of my connection to my podcast, this podcast, Military Veteran Dad, and the mission to bring every dad home emotionally and mentally. One theme has come through on my podcast that is overwhelming repeating every chance I get. That others died so that I could hug my kids at night. I may not have been in battle, but others did. And those that didn't come home never will hug their kids, nor will their kids ever hug their dad. And I reflect on the freedom this holiday represents and leaving a legacy of family that is worthy of their sacrifice. And most importantly, I want to never forget that it was always a day where the world was changed forever and that freedom was defined in a way that we pursued it, we felt it, and we celebrated it. And so for me, I cry still on the 4th of July because it's a very intense feeling for me to feel that rite of passage that I got to carry being a Marine and helping protect that in my own way and serving in my own way and discovering myself in my own way. And now as I grow into myself, this is how I enjoy my freedom. I help embrace and help other dads learn their freedom and their choice to be a great dad and help their family. And I hope you have an amazing 4th of July. I hope this message helped. I hope this message helped you connect with emotion maybe that you hadn't been feeling in your life. That's something I always hope with every message I put out there, that it gives you a feeling that maybe you weren't acknowledging. And through this podcast, you're able to help feel those emotions. But I hope you have an amazing 4th of July. And I will talk to you guys again on Monday.